Well, hello, stamping friends. It's Deb Naylor from the Flying Stamper, and coming to you today to go over the May 2022 in color class. This particular class showcases the brand new 2022 to 2024 in colors. So here are the projects. And you're going to get in your kits, if you're attending this virtually, you will get 5 different cards that you'll be making. They're very cute. They're pretty simple. I don't think you'll find anything too difficult. You'll also be getting your in-color stamp pads, and then there's a fun little present for you, which I'm not going to show you. But after things get mailed out, I'll actually post a photo of how to use those things. And then you'll also get a grid sheet. And I tried to give everybody their color that they selected. If you replied to my email or to my Facebook post asking what your favorite new in color was, the reason why I did that, not only to give away a little prize, but was also to give you one of these grid sheets that is in your favorite color. So we're going to start out by talking about the ink pads first. Let me set these to the side so I don't make a mess. So I always like to take this opportunity each year to kind of just talk about our ink pads in general. So first I want to tell you that on the back there are labels, and I find that it's best to pull off the actual strip that holds the labels in, and I'm sure you could find something to do with this, but I'm going to put it in the trash. And then you have these left over. Now this is a new tip that I learned from another demonstrator. So you have 2 that are solid that don't have a name on them. And I always encourage everyone to purchase the reinkers for the pads. If you take good care of your pads and you have the reinkers, they'll last a really long time. I have ink pads that are over 20 years old that are still in really good shape, which is kind of amazing because most of my supplies are used by myself as well as my class attendees. Okay, so if you just put that around the top of your reinker, sometimes I find it hard to see this, and seeing this up here is going to be a really good little trick for me. And then if you take the one in the language that you prefer, and I like to put it on the end that the stamp pad opens up on. You can put it on whatever end you want. I like to do that because of how I store mine. I have them in the ink storage pads that Stampin' Up! Sells. All right, and now your pad might be a little bit stiff initially, but if you open and close it, and remember they open and close like a compact, and then you push it back, and then I recommend you slide it all the way back. I see a lot of people that stamp with it let down like this, and it's not firm and it's wobbly, and I'm afraid the pads are going to get broken that way if you do that all the time. So I recommend that you slide it all the way back. And then we have a little tray in here. So if you take this other blank one, and this is really going to be fun to do on camera, we'll see what kind of an inky mess I have. You might want to have some baby wipes or something to wipe your fingers on when you do this, because I usually don't get it lined up right. Okay, so that goes like that, and then if you can just kind of lay it in there and get one end in straight, then it goes in fairly easily. Try to keep your fingers out of the ink. If you need a little help, your take a pick tool works good. And so I'm just going to use that to push it down in there. All right, so this way, this pad is fairly dark, and I mean, if you have multiple pads open on your stamping work area, you might think this is a different color, but if you got that there, then you know. And then the other thing I like to do, close that back up, is mark the back side too. And I just use one of the other languages. So I can kind of see what I've got any way the pad is. And there's one left over, you can use it on the side or whatever you want to do with it. I did get a little ink on my fingers, so I am going to use a little baby wipe to clean that off so I don't get it on any of my projects today. Baby wipes are kind of a necessity in my stamp room. They also work if you get any ink like I did there, just to wipe it off the pad if you want to keep it new looking. So your stamp pads, they like to live like humans do. They don't like to be really cold, and they don't like to be overly hot. Keep them away from the sun. They will fade, especially like your reinkers and markers and cardstock. I have my studio set up so that everything is way away from the window. And I think that's about it on the pads. So let me get rid of this baby wipe, and let's start talking about the projects. Okay, so you have 5 projects, and this will be the first one that we work on. And so what you're going to want from your stamp inventory to complete this one is a sentiment that would fit in this little postage stamp punch out. And then I've got some alternate ideas for you. If you have the teacup suite, then you'll want to grab that. If you don't, I have some alternate ideas. You'll need something maybe ferny or cuppy, not cuppy, maybe a little flower or something like that. I've got a couple ideas for you on this too. And I'll give those to you when we get into that. And then this one, all you're going to need, if you have the Sweet Songbird bundle, then grab that. But if you don't, I've got an alternate way for you to make this look like a cute little bird. So you just need a small little sentiment that will fit in this little tailored tag punch out or die cut. And then this one, the dies are done for you. So you just need a long floral. That one is called Amazing Silhouettes. But if you don't have that and you have the Dragonfly bundle, that's a really good one. The Meadows bundle is another really good one. When we get there, I'll show you some alternates. Okay, and this one, you need a sentiment of your choice. And then I do have a floral back here. And this comes from the Lasting and Lovely bundle. But just grab some flowers. I'll give you a couple ideas when we get there. Everything else is prepared for you. And then last but not least, I've got this cute little one. So you'll need a little sentiment that will fit in the heart punch out. And then you're going to have another little white piece here where you can put a small circle kind of stamp in it, or I've got an alternate idea for you there too. So you'll need your ink pads, and you will also need the standard tools is what I would advise. So glue or whatever adhesive you like, your take-a-pick tool, your scissors or your paper snips, some dimensionals, and then, you know, I like to use this paper piercing mat to stamp on. So let's get going. I hope everyone's having a really great spring. I wish that we would get some consistently spring weather. My husband and I are hoping to go on a bike ride this afternoon if the weather holds up. All right, we're going to start out with the Tahitian Tide card first. So I will need my Tahitian Tide stamp pad. I'll go ahead and open that up. And then let's talk about what's in your kit. So there's a lot of little pieces in your kit, so be careful when you open it up. I tried to pack them so that you could pull them straight out and things wouldn't be tucked down in the envelope, but it's always a good idea to look. Aren't these envelopes cute? These actually can be purchased in the annual catalog, and they are, you get a pack of 20, and it's $10, and it includes the beautiful envelopes and the card bases. Okay, so you've got this piece of paper. I'll explain that in a few minutes. You've got a few things that aren't on my card, and that's fine. I was just trying to make it easy for you because we're in a new catalog and not everybody has all the new stuff, and there's lots of ways to skin the cat, so to speak. So we have this punch out, and we have this one, and this is what you're going to put your words on. And then you have this little teacup, and I used the cup of tea suite for this. I love this little stamp set. It's adorable. And I like tea, so I thought it was really good for that. And I thought it would make a really cute thinking of you card. You can even put a little packet of tea in there. So some alternate ideas. Many of you, I think one of my first virtual classes that I did in 2020 included the jar of flowers. And so I think this would work really well popping out of your teacup. And I included a little extra piece of basic white cardstock, so you could stamp that on there, fussy cut it out, and put it inside your cup. However, if you don't want to do that, I also put this is one of our retired punches. It's called the Sprig Punch. It just retired, but I put that in there too, and I'm going to use that on mine. So if you don't have this, or you don't want to use this, you have that option. And then for the fern, or the leaves, a lot of you I know have the Forever Fern stamp set, and there's lots of options in there. So those will be helpful hints. Also, those of you that are Paper Pumpkin subscribers, or if you have been a Paper Pumpkin subscriber, look in your Paper Pumpkin stamps, because there are a lot of really good images and sentiments in there. Okay, so here's the 3 dies that I used. And you've got the paper, so if you do happen to have the teacup dies and you want to stamp this out, you can use this paper for that. And if not, just stick this in your scrap pile and use it for something else, which is what I'm going to do with it, because I am not going to use it because I set this up to make it easier for you. Okay, so let's get all these little pieces out and get going on it. And I did include some of the beautiful new in color ribbon. And the way that I attach that to my card is I kind of laid it across. And then I like to use Scotch tape. And you want to make sure your piece is small enough to be hidden by the die or the punch. It's a punch in this case. And then we're just going to layer the punch right on top of that. You can also use mini glue dots to hold your ribbon down. I'll put that up there. All right, let's get our sentiment going. I'm going to make this one a thank you card. And this is from the teacup stamp set. But again, just use whatever sentiment you have. So that gets glued on top of that. And then I'm going to use the actual teacup stamp and stamp on top of my cup. If you don't have this stamp, then just use what you've got. Okay, so I've got my stamping done. I'm going to close up my pad and put these things away. All right, let's get going on gluing things down. Okay, so this one I'm going to make a little different just to give you some ideas in case you don't have the exact supplies. And lay the teacup down with a couple of dimensionals. All right, and then I'm going to use these sprig punches and just tuck them back behind. And I'll just put a little bit of glue on the end of each one. All right, now, if you don't have the teacup set, you're not going to have these little flowers. So I punched out these 2 little punches, and this is another retired punch too. I hope you guys don't mind that I'm doing that. It's not usually what I like to do, but I wanted to give you options, easy options. So I had a really good attendance for virtual this month, so I want to make sure everybody was really happy. And this is the Sweet Sorbet. So I've actually combined in this card 3 of the new in colors, the Parakeet Party, Tahitian Tide, which is a very big favorite with many of you, and the Sweet Sorbet. All right, and then you've got 2 little red rhinestones, so we'll grab those and put those right in the middle of the little flowers. And you're going to have to let me know how you like this. I haven't included so many optional ideas in the virtuals before, so please let me know if you like that. Okay, so similar but different. They're both really cute. So I actually think that one's really cute because it's got a little more texture to it. All right, yay for Tahitian Tide. Let's move on. Okay, we're going to go with Orchard Oasis. For some reason, I have a hard time saying that word. And again, there's not as many little things in this one, but there are a few. I see I've got ink on my finger again. The new pads are juicy, so you can expect a little ink. All right, let's pull all these things out. And again, you have some extra things that aren't on the original card. And that's, again, just to give you some options. Okay, the stamp set that I used on this one is called Limited Edition, and it is a new stamp set that's in the annual catalog. You need a sentiment for the white heart, and then you need either something that's circle-shaped or maybe a little flower or something. If you don't have anything like that, then I gave you this little flower, and we're going to put a little embellishment in there. So, and then these dots came from the new glossy dot assortments. They're just really, really cute, you guys. There's 180 on the sheet. I want to say they were $8. Could be wrong about that. And then I used this frayed ribbon, which is in the mini catalog. That's going to expire. By the way, the mini catalog expires the end of June. So things are probably going to be starting to sell out in that thing soon. I haven't checked lately. I don't know if there's anything actually already that is sold out. There might be. Okay, so we're going to use the blending brush, and we're going to dye this frayed ribbon. And most of you have blending brushes, but if you don't, you have a couple options. You can stick your ribbon directly into the pad. It's messy, but it works. You can also use a dauber or a Stampin' Sponge. And I know this looks like it's got blue on it, Tahitian Tide, but it actually has been wiped and cleaned. And you only need to dye one side of the ribbon. Sometimes we need to dye both sides, but in this case we only need to dye one side. We're not tying a bow or anything, so we just need it to be dyed on one side. You can make it as dark or as light as you would like. Okay, get rid of that. All right, I'm going to go ahead and stamp my image. And I love this saying, a paper hug for me. I basically wanted this stamp set for just this sentiment here. And I actually got this stamp set from attending on stage with Stampin' Up! Last month. So if you have a circle a stamp like I do, this is also from the same stamp set, then you could ink it up and stamp it onto your circle there. I'm not going to do that because I want to show you the alternate idea. So I'm put the ink pad away because we're done with that now. And we'll start gluing and layering. All right, so this gets put on here. And then this ribbon gets attached to the white layer. And this is again where I like to use the Scotch tape, but glue dots work really well too. Okay, and then this is from the Layering Circles, these two pieces, and they're pre-cut for you, so you don't need to worry about having those or grabbing those out. Now this is where we're going to get a little different here. We're going to put the, I'm going to bend this up a little bit to give it a little texture, and then we're going to put that in the middle. of the white circle. Put it on a dimensional, stick it in there, and then we're going to bring over our Take a Pick tool and add this little, little charm or embellishment to the middle of the flower. Okay, so again, if you have a little circle shaped stamp, or just maybe even a cute little flower would look good in there, but I did include that for you. And if you don't want to use it, you could put it on the inside of the card or glue it to the envelope. It's yours. Don't mail it back. Okay, I attached this with dimensionals because the ribbon is a little on the thick side, so it wouldn't be completely flat if I tried to use my glue. And then a couple dimensionals behind the heart. And then another dimensional. Okay, that's really cute. Okay, so option 1, option 2. It's always good to have options in life, don't you think? Okay, 2 down. Let's move on to Sweet Sorbet. And before we get started on this card, I'm going to show you what my inspiration for this card was. So thanks to my wonderful customers and team members, I earned the 2021 incentive trip from Stampin' Up! And I got a box of goodies and a card from Shelley Gardner, the founder of Stampin' Up!, and her daughter Sarah Douglas, who is the CEO. And I just loved the layout of this card. And so I cased it. And it's not exactly the same, but it's similar. I used a different punch and I used a different stamp set, but it's super cute card, and it's simple. All right, on this one, I used the stamp set Lovely and Lasting. There's a coordinating punch that goes with it, and you can see I used the flower out of it. And then I used these fun flower resin shapes. So you'll have a couple of those in your packet. Now, if you do not have this bundle, I'm going to give you a couple of things to think about. This long stem would look good behind this. And many of you have the Dragonfly Garden because that was another one of my virtual classes a year or so ago. And a lot of you also have this Quiet Meadow bundle because a lot of you chose it when I did my bundle class last year. So you could use the long stem, or you could actually use this flower and just randomly stamp it. Or if you have smaller flowers, you can do that too. Get these out of the way here. So on the card that I got from Shelley and Sarah, they actually used a lot of small stamps in there, and they just randomly stamped it. So lots of ideas on that one. Okay, so let's get going. All right, so this one has lots of little bits and pieces, so carefully open it. Get all the goodies out. There's a couple of small, those flowers, those fun flowers, and then you should have 6 punch outs in color. And then this one, which is from the Lovely and Lasting bundle, and then of course your card base. So let's start by stamping. And you're going to start by stamping first right directly on the card base with whatever floral you've decided. And kind of in the center, but it doesn't have to be precise. On this one, because the stamp is quite a bit larger than the ink pad, I'm laying it on its back and inking it up that way. That gives me the ability to get really good coverage. Oh, I closed that and I still need to stamp a sentiment. Hello. Okay, so we're going to stamp that there and put a little bit of pressure on it. I'm on top of a photopolymer, or the pad, so it doesn't really require a lot. Okay, all right, now the sentiment, and I seem to, the 3 cards that I've been burning through this year are birthdays, thank you, and sympathy. So I mailed out this month already 6 sympathy cards, and I have to mail 2 on Monday. All right, so we'll put our thank you on here. Okay, now we can close this up and put it away. So done with stamping. Okay, all right, now you kind of got to pay attention to your layout because you want to be able to put these cute little flowers on the actual centers of the main 2 flowers. So however you've stamped that, you want to kind of pay attention to that, or you can randomly place them. And then the same thing with your little punch outs. You don't want them to interfere. So you do have to kind of look at what you're doing and leave that open. So I'm just going to put a little glue. And I did run over a little bit, but I'm not overly concerned about that because I'm going to cover it with this. I'm going to move that down a little bit, but I'll put the leaf over the glue. Less glue, less glue. All right, and I'm going to put the Orchard Opulence. I have problems saying that word. I'm going to put those on after I get the label on so I can see where I want to tuck them. Okay, and then I'm going to put the label punch on with a couple of dimensionals. That over that. And I remember to leave those little flower spaces open. All right, and now I'll just tuck these other second little punches in here. And again, this is combining 3 of the new in colors together. The Orchid Oasis, the Parakeet Party, and the Sweet Sorbet. I am really happy with the color coordination this year. They're a little bright, cheery colors, but they go together really well. And I'm not really a fan of green, but I actually really like this Parakeet Party. Okay, so there we go. You might have an extra punch out there. And if you do, that's okay. Just put it inside the card or wherever you would like. Sometimes I don't count right. If you're missing one, though, let me know. All right, so your card should look really similar to this one. You'll probably have a different flower and maybe a different sentiment, but isn't that beautiful? I made a really nice Mother's Day card. Okay, let's move on. So next up is the Starry Sky, and this one is really simple, and there's not a lot in the envelope. Pull the card base out, and you will find 2 layers for the words, and then a long strip. And I used the Amazing Silhouettes stamp set, this long one, and then the dies come from the Amazing Thanks dies. It actually coordinates with this. If you do not have Amazing Silhouettes, and I don't think too many of you do, this would be another one where the Quiet Meadow, you just pull that big stem out of there, or the Dragonfly. So look for something long and skinny, floral, or whatever you have. Okay, so let's get the stamping done. And again, this is a big one, so I'm going to lay it on its back and take the pad and ink it up. This is a stamp set I got from a recent Stampin' Up event, and I wasn't really sure whether it was going to be my jam or not, but I love this card. I love this watercolory kind of look. So you can either glue this on or you could dimensional it, whatever you would prefer. I'm going to dimensional the thinks, but you can kind of do whatever you would like with that. Okay, and then these get glued. The skinny thanks gets glued to the fat thanks. And I like to use the liquid glue on this, but there are other options. If you have the any of the old, I can't remember what it was called. There's a glue that, like a glue pen, that works really well. And then there's a mini kind of a glue pen. You could also run it through with the Stampin' Emboss. There's some adhesive that you can actually attach your letters to, and it makes it sticky on the back. Lots of options there, but it goes pretty easily together with the glue. All right, and then this is where you're going to need your little adhesive or your little dimensionals. And these are the ones that are, for me, were left over from the In Color Paper Pumpkin kit that we just got if you're a Paper Pumpkin subscriber. They're always so generous with these things, and I rarely have to buy dimensionals or glue dots anymore. All right, that is probably enough. Okay, so super simple card, but between the colors and the stamp, it looks really classy and elegant. There you go. And especially when it's presented with the adorable envelope. Love it, love it, love it. Okay, last but not least is the Parakeet Party. Such a cute little bundle. You know, I'm just a sucker for punches. That's all I can say. So this one does have a few pieces in it. So let's really be careful when we open it up and pull it out. You're going to find a piece of vellum that has been pre-embossed for you. New punch, the little bird punch, a little tailored tag, a wing for the bird, some eyes for the bird, a little dot for the tag, and the bird's beak. So that's what we've got in there. So I used the Sweet Songbird stamp set, and I used the words from it. It's your special day. I thought this could be a really cute birthday card, but it could also be a graduation card or some other kind of a congrats card, or maybe even like congratulating somebody that's having a baby. If you don't have this, don't worry, because I'm going to show you how to fix this bird and make him super cute. So all you really need to look for is a skinny sentiment. And remember earlier I mentioned bringing in your paper pumpkin stamps, because there's always lots of small sentiments there. So that might be a good tip. The folder that I used is a new one, and it's called Fern 3D Embossing Folder. Fern 3D Embossing Folder. And then the little decorative dots are from the 2022 to 2024 in color dots, so they match with the in color ink family. I used the tag came from the Taylor tag dies, and then these actually came from this new little pack called Lovely Layers. You get 60 sheets of vellum, and some of them are decorated, and then some of them are plain. I use the plain ones. If you attended Fond Farewell last month, then I showed these because they're so cute. They're only $6, and there's just, I mean, if you like to do black and white cards, they're just stunning and beautiful. But you also have all the plain ones too, so I used some of the plain ones for class. Okay, these are also in the annual catalog. Put this stuff away and get busy. and Parakeet Party. And then I used, these are pre-punched for you, but this is the Sweet Songbird punch. And then this is a new, I forgot what the name of it, but it's a circle punch, and it's in the annual catalog too. A different shape. I like it because it's a little bit bigger. Sometimes I want my punches to be a little bit bigger. So let's start by stamping the words. On the tailored tag. And then I'm going to be using the Tahitian Tide to make this bird pop for you. You guys should see the mess I've got going here. The video takes less time than it takes for me to clean the mess up afterwards. Okay, I'm going to take this blending brush that I used earlier with the Orchid Oasis and get that ink off because I want to put this in my Tahitian Tide one. You know what? I'm getting a clean brush out. That's going to take way too much time. Okay, so either grab a new blending brush, or if you only have one, clean that one up. And then what we're going to do is blend this color onto the bird. And always start soft, so you see that I'm tapping off. Now on this, I did kind of go around the edges and darken it a little bit. And then I went back in and blended it some more. So we don't want it solid. If you looked at a bird, there would be lots of variations of colors. I think we're done with this, so put that to the side. All right, let's talk about gluing. So vellum is kind of tricky when you go to glue it. Usually glue dots will hide pretty well, so you don't need to worry about, you could use 4 glue dots. I like to use a little dab of glue, and you might see it a smidge. You can put more in the middle because the bird and the label there are going to cover it, but if I try to just put it behind some of the embossed areas, it'll be hidden. I don't need very much. This glue, if you guys use this glue, it holds so well, and it's so inexpensive. It lasts forever. It's like my favorite. And one of the things that I really like about it is that it allows you to move a project. If your layer isn't straight, which that often happens to me, no big deal. You've got time to pick it back up and lay it down. Okay, now we're going to put this in the center, and I did use dimensionals on this piece. All right, now let's talk about the bird. So he's going to look like this when we get through with him. You want to put the wing on it, and I used a little dimensional to pop that wing up. All right, and then you have a couple of little black dots, and those are going to become the eyes. So what we had that looked like a blob a few minutes ago is starting to look like a bird, isn't it? So cute. Let's see, where did our little beak go? There we go. Oops, that thing is so tiny. All right, so we need just a smidge of glue on the back of that. A glue dot would probably work really well too. I don't have any of those sitting out right now, so we're going to go with the glue. And then you kind of flip that over for his beak. All right, and now he looks like a bird. So cute. All right, and then a couple dimensionals to attach the tag. Kind of off-centered that a little bit, and then you've got this little embellishment to stick in there. I use that to cover the hole. Could have used ribbon too, but I like this better. It didn't interfere with the look of the bird. All right, and then I used a dimensional or two to pop the bird up. Cute. All right, looks like we need a smidge more glue in this corner, so I'm going to stick a little more on there. Okay, that is Parakeet Party. So I think it's going to go together well for you guys. But if you have any questions or you're missing anything, you know how to get me. So email me, call me, text me, whatever. All right, let me give you a few more ideas and talk to you about a few other things. So I've got a little more inspiration now that you've got this beautiful ink. I wanted to inspire you with some other ideas. So this is the Parakeet Party and the Orchid Oasis. And then this is the Lasting and Lovely Punch. It's new in the catalog. And then this other one that we just used. I can't remember what this is called. Circle something or other. And then those fun flowers. Here's another one that uses the Orchid Oasis and the Brilliant Butterfly stamp set. And then this cute little designer series paper. So let's talk about that designer series paper. This is called Tea Boutique, and it is a really great paper because it has all of the new in colors in it: Orchid Opulence, Parakeet Party, Starry Sky, Sweet Sorbet, and Tahitian Tide. So if the moon and the sun align, we will actually have our June class that will showcase this paper. And I just want to make sure next week when I get ready to advertise that the paper is not on back order or anything like that before I come out with the invitation. So it's super cute paper, you guys. I don't have a price on it yet. It's probably going to run about $30, but it will include look at that. It looks just like the card bases that we've been using. It will include all of this paper. You'll get a pack of paper and we'll use some of it in class. Isn't that cute? And then the rest will be mailed to you with your kit. So you'll have lots to use, and it's a really good paper for you to have because it goes with your beautiful new stamp pads, right? So that will probably be around June 24th, towards the end of June, and I'll get the invitation out for that soon. You may actually have it by the time I get this video pushed out to you. And then that will be it for classroom classes and virtual classes until September. I'm going to take July and August off this year. I'm still available for ordering or questions or anything like that. I'll be keeping it up on my blog and my Facebook page, so there'll be lots of inspiration out. And I'm still going to be running my senior classes all summer long. And I'm kind of wondering if I could sell senior card kits because I'm already doing that work anyway. So that's a thought I have. I'll see how that kind of plays out for those of you that aren't able to attend those classes. We need to do a little remodeling in our house, and I've got some other stuff going on in my life. So I'm going to take a couple months off. I haven't taken any time off since June. I think I had July and August of 19 off. I usually take a couple months in the summer, but I didn't for 2020 and I didn't for 2021 because of the pandemic. And so it's time to have a little fun in the sun. So I wanted to show you a couple of the other in color products that I've purchased. I got a couple of sets of the blender pens. I usually get the lighter colors of the not blender pens, the blends. I usually like getting the lighter colors, and I've been getting blends over markers lately because I seem to prefer those. And then there's also this in color designer series paper, 6x6, and that might be my backup plan. If we can't get the tea paper, then I may just switch to this paper, but I wanted to do the tea because it's so cute. And then here's a new product you may not have seen in the catalog. It's just gorgeous. It's the 6x6 glimmer paper. So there's 20 sheets in here. I think it was $10, and it's got all 5 of the new in colors. So 4 sheets of each. Probably be using this in class soon. So that's it, you guys. Have a great time with your kit. And again, if you have any questions, let me know. And I hope to see you for June class. Take good care. Until next time, bye.